Hi, this is Kevin Blanch. My book, Post Ignorance, it's all finished. It's off to the publisher. I've been getting emails back and forth from the publisher. You know how that bullshit goes. Well, fuck the publisher. I don't care about that. I'm going to do it myself. I got it loaded up now. I PDF'd it. It's all ready to go. But anyway, if you are driving around with a yellow sticker justification on your car and you're okay with Iraq and you're okay with 80% of all wealth being destroyed in the last decade, you're okay with a guy stealing the election with 5 dug-in elephants. If you're okay and you like Limbaugh or Hannity or any of these right-wing freaking Beck Calder whack mentally ill freaks, don't read this fucking book. This book is an art book. This is a book about art, culture, economics, sex, Mormon history, American history. I am an economist. I am a historian. I am an artist. This is metaphorical. Everything in this book is metaphorical. Everything. Thousands and thousands and thousands of metaphors. Every single word, every single dot, every single space, every single line has been really meticulated and thought through for literally decades. Every color, every positioning, it all has meaning. There are metaphors that flow through the book. There's a lot of poetry with metaphors in it. A lot of the metaphors are going to be easy. I point them out, you find it. But there's, like I said, there are literally thousands and thousands. There's a story within the story. There's 13 chapters. The last chapter is a chapter on a secret society right here in Ogden, Utah. And the historians are full of shit on this. I've been digging in this for 40 years. Mariner Eccles and the Fed, FDR, this whole thing was hatched right here. You know, Mariner Eccles started the World Bank. Mariner Eccles saved the United States via the Fed, and we built the strongest middle class in the history of the world from 1945 until 80. We've come full circle. Look, and it's not in a bad thing, it's in a good thing. This Masonic, they were Masons. FDR, Mariner Eccles were Masons. I mean, get out your freaking dollar bills and look back. Who do you think redesigned them and when they were redesigning them? But all presidents before us were Masons. Joseph Smith was a Mason. You know, I pour into Mormon history. How's that bad? I want to know how that is bad. Now, I am not a Mason in the society. I'm a real Mason. I'm a Mason where it was hatched. I built things with rock and plaster. Got over 10,000 jobs. I own a company called Blanch Plastering. But my book, it weights wealth. I've been a derivative specialist on Wall Street for 14 years, off and on. I've been trading futures and options since 1975. Right here in the pits in Ogden, in some of the classicest, most beautiful Art Deco masterpieces on earth. Nobody even knows they're here. But this secret society, I pour into it in the last chapter, chapter 13. And it was hatched right here. And extreme, incredible wealth. And I mean incredible wealth. Right here, right here. I have lived it. I've done business with these guys. I've been embedded with these guys. Not just their family members. I've been in the, you got to remember who my grandparents were, who my family was, how I evolved. I did business with these guys. Mariner Eccles knew me by name. The last 30 years, the circle that we've come around with the election of Ronald Reagan, almost to the day, I finished my book almost to the second, to the minute I finished it, of John Lennon's tragic murder by a religious mentally ill nutcase. That's when this thing was born. The election of 1980, we switched to Greenspan took over in 87, 86. We switched over to science fiction, as I call it, economics. We have a 0% interest rate. We have $13 trillion. We have annihilated the middle class. And if you think that's all coincidence, it's not coincidence. This is what happens. People cannot look at things. They look at things in a 10-second soundbite. You know, Fox News helped Bush steal the election. He won. I have a chapter called The Blowjob That Changed the World. It's not funny. It's not in satire. This is serious shit. Millions and millions of people have been killed. The atomic veterans, my father, marched into the Nevada test site, nuclear bombed them, and murdered 40,000 of them. I pour into it deep. This is not just some commentary book. This is a document. It is very, very, very researched by me. I don't have any influences. Nobody's paying me. Nobody's pushing me. Nobody's doing anything. I really pour into Mormon history. I talk about economics and religion and politics, how the Republican Party has blended them together, and the Republican voters are indoctrinated, and they believe. I pour into how Napa devastated this country. I pour into our last 5 conservative presidents, which are all Republicans in the context of the economy. My weighted wealth index takes our wealth, it weights it. I build a basket that I've used for years against other countries, markets, currencies, individual equities, whatever. I can show you how the United States, 80% of our wealth has been destroyed over the last decade. The blowjob that changed the world. This is serious, serious shit. People are being killed, suicide, drug overdoses. The social fabric has imploded in this country. The unemployment rate, 9.7, is bullshit. It is much, much higher. I pour into it. The average athlete in this country in 1975 made less than 3 times the average working class American. The average doctor made less than 3 times. The average CEO made less than 8 times. The average CEO right now makes over 600 times. The average athlete makes over 600 times. The average doctor makes over 100 times. Working class has been crushed from the day Reagan, and the Reagan fallacy, I dive deep into that. What a fallacy. How these guys put this guy up on a pedestal is beyond me. I mean, it's unbelievable. I talk about George H. Bush, who in my very honorable man, completely different than his son. I mean, like night and day. Boy, that apple didn't fall close to the tree. But anyway, I pour into all this subject matter in a very... I graduated the #1 school of business in the United States, the tragic death of Dr. Clyde Cooley, which that year I was at Berkshire Hathaway Mill. I have a picture with Buffett with his arm around me. That story's in there. But anyway, it's 147 pages. Post-ignorance. We've come full circle. We have. I write a lot about why we, in 1980, we boycotted the Olympics in Moscow for the invasion of Afghanistan. The Middle East nightmare started the same time right then, with Bechtel and Reagan being on their board, and Iran-Contra and the whole works. We've come full circle. The death of a great, incredible, magnificent artist murdered by a religious radical. The birth of supply-side science fiction, economics. We went full circle. We went from the strongest middle class in the history of the world via Mariner Eccles and this secret society who made it and how and where, who rose up from the slums of Glasgow, Scotland, the most infamous slums ever, to make this happen. We went from the strongest middle class in the history of the world, and we had protectionism. Everybody had GMs. Everybody had health care. It's not coincidence. The Kool-Aid drinking, wacko media, who's turned into nothing but pure entertainment for mentally ill, the lazy baby boomers, all of this is in this books. Let this era fucking end. Let this 30-year cycle fucking end. Let it die. It's been 30 years since the tragic murder of the great, incredible artist. It's been 30 years since the election of a B-movie entertainer, and we turned this all into entertainment. It's been 30 years of using science fiction economics. It's been 30 years of no art movement, the neo-conservative movement. Let it end. Let it fucking end. And if you're on the far right and hairspray Kool-Aid drinking fucking wax, and you like exploiting fucking other human beings, you like fucking putting a sticker on your car and fucking driving around, and that could justify the mass murder in the name of fucking religions of millions of your own fucking men, do not fucking read this book. Do not fucking read this book. It's metaphors. Metaphors poetic. This is an art book. I am a fucking artist. First, I am an economist. I am a historian. I am a plasterer. I am a derivative specialist. But I am an artist. Let this fucking cycle end. Post-ignorance. Let the new 30-year cycle begin. Kevin Blanch, December 2010.